How's it going, guys? Randall, aka She's a Cats here on the Tressa's Collectibles channel, here to bring you our latest box opening video. Today we're going to be looking at a pretty highly anticipated set coming over from JP Weiss Schwarz, which is Azur Lane. So, for those of you who are unfamiliar with the Azur Lane franchise, this is basically a anthropomorphized warship sort of genre, similar to another IP that is already in Weiss Schwarz, KAN-SEN Collection. There are a few distinctions between the two as far as the roster of characters that are involved, as well as the gameplay of the source material. Azur Lane, from a gameplay perspective, the original phone game, Azur Lane, is a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up where you assemble a team of these warship girls and take them to the seas in order to do battle. And so today we're going to be taking a look at all of the Azur Lane material that Weiss Schwarz has to offer, which includes 4 different trial decks, as well as 2 of the booster boxes. As far as the spread of characters that are available in Azur Lane, compared to KAN-SEN Collection, where KAN-SEN has a lot of the Japanese ships as its main focus, with a few of the foreign ships sprinkled here and there, Azur Lane has a pretty wide roster of ships from many different countries. Specifically, the 4 trial decks are going to be focusing on the Eagle Union, which is supposed to represent the US, the Royal Navy, which is symbolic of the United Kingdom Navy, the Sakura Empire, which represents Japan, and Iron Blood, which represents the Germans. However, there are multiple other factions that exist within the set as well that we'll be taking a look at when we get into the booster boxes, such as the Italians, the Chinese, the French. There are a lot of different factions that go into this set, and they are going to be separated by color. So as we see here with our 4 trial decks, well, you can't really tell based on the color of the boxes, at least not with the Sakura Empire one, but these 4 trial decks are divided by color based on what faction the characters are from. So as we go through the trial decks, we'll be going through each of them one color at a time, and we'll be talking about some of the synergies, internal synergies between each of the colors as we go through some of the decks. Now, obviously we do have a lot of material to go through, considering that we have 4 trial decks, so as I open these trial decks, I'm not going to be going very in detail, in depth about each of the individual cards. I'm mostly just going to be taking a look at some of the cards that I think are very notable that you're going to want to be looking out for within these trial decks. So, without further ado, let's get right into our first trial deck. We're going to be starting with the Eagle Union trial deck. Oh, but before we get into that, as usual, of course, we do have to take a look at the beautiful Azur Lane case topper playmat. This is the Stitch Edge variety that comes with the non-English original sets. And so, because of that, we are going to be getting one of these case topper playmats in every booster case. And this has some very beautiful art of Akagi and Kaga, which are going to be from the Sakura Empire trial deck. So if you're interested in these 2 characters in particular, this is the trial deck you're going to want to be picking up. But as I said, we're going to be kicking it off with our Eagle Union trial deck. So let's get right into it. Quick note before we get into our trial decks, as in the original run-through of opening the trial decks, I did forget to mention the SP ratios, but for each sealed case of these Azur Lane trial decks, the expected number of SPs per case is 2, so just letting you guys know that you should be expecting 2 signed cards per case of 48 trial decks. So now let's get right into the trial deck opening. As with trial decks in the past, the easiest way to open these is actually from the bottom, although it looks like they changed the way the box folds at the bottom, so maybe it's a little bit harder to open. All right, we'll have to rip it a little bit, but this is usually the easiest way to open the trial decks. As far as the rarity spread within each of these trial decks, every single card can come foil, whether it is an SP or a triple rare. So every trial deck is going to have, I believe, 4 possible cards that can come SP, one of which will have a rainbow print, while the other ones have a gold print. I'm going to double check that real quick, just to make sure I'm not going crazy. Okay, yeah, just double checked, and it is indeed 4 possible SPs in each of the trial decks. One of them is going to be the cover card, which can come with a rainbow print signature, and the other 3 come in gold print. So every single card besides those 4 can come as a triple R. And so as with pretty much every trial deck that I think Weiss Schwarz has had, where every single card can come as a foil, you will be getting 1 guaranteed foil in every single trial deck. So other trial decks that had this were like Hololive, for example. All right, let's go ahead and crack into our first one. So this is going to be the Eagle Union trial deck, which has the characters that represent ships from the United States Navy. So first, let's take a look at our cover card. We have Laffy. This is a level 0 with the Fukujiro effect. Before we get into the cards, actually, let's go ahead and take a look at the traits of the set. So apart from the trait that is going to be the faction for each of these characters, the central trait throughout the entire set is KAN-SEN. And so this directly just translates to like a ship. But at the same time, it is an acronym within the Azur Lane universe. I don't exactly remember what it stands for. It's kind of something ridiculous, but yeah, just basically know that KAN-SEN is the term that's used to encompass all of the shipgirls within the Azur Lane universe. So the central trait throughout all of these cards is going to be that KAN-SEN trait. So let's take a look at Laffy. So this is the cover card for the Eagle Union trial deck. When she's placed on stage from hand, if you have another KAN-SEN character, she gets 2k until end of turn, allowing her to swing for 3,500, which is really nice. And she has the Fukujiro effect. When she is sent from stage to waiting room, you can discard a card to look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, add a level 1 or higher card from among them to your hand, and send the rest to waiting room. This can be a really useful card for securing things like level 1 climax combos, or just milling through your deck, and is also a really good way to grab events, as events usually are pretty hard to grab, but using a Fukujiro effect allows you to grab them from the top 4. We have our trial deck Brainstorm Helena, which we get 4 copies. As with any trial deck, all of the cards that can come foil will have 1 copy apiece at the back of the trial deck, and since every single card can come foil, we will have 1 copy of every single card towards the back of the pack. Okay, here we have a back row runner Benson. This is like the same effect as the Pekra from the Gen 3 Hololive trial deck. Okay, Minneapolis, a level 0 bottom deck bomb. We have a Bonder, which goes to the Gridley, which is the 1/0 vanilla. Okay, we have a... I thought this was a Climax Swapper at first when I first read it, but it's actually an act ability. You can pay 1, discard a Climax to grab a KAN-SEN character from waiting room and add it back to your hand. This can be pretty useful in a deck that runs a lot of gold bar or pants climaxes as an extra way to get those climaxes out of your hand and turn them into cards that you actually need. North Carolina, this is a 4K beater if you can get a marker. Here we have the level 1 climax combo, San Diego. So I believe every single climax combo in the trial decks is an honor verse combo, I think. If I'm wrong about that, I will correct myself in like annotation text or something. But the San Diego climax combo is honor verse. You can discard 1 to salvage 2, and then give one of your characters 1k power until end of turn. And another recurring theme that we're going to see throughout all of these Azur Lane cards is the use of experience. Especially once we get to the booster set, there's going to be cards that have experience 6 and even experience 8. So you're encouraged to play a lot of high-level cards, throw those into your level zone in order to fulfill those experience requirements. All right, next up we have Baltimore. This is a card that sees quite a bit of play in optimized builds because of her utility ability. She has the, I guess what a lot of people like to call the come to play Rico effect, where when she's placed on stage from hand, you can discard a card, reveal the top card of your deck, and salvage a character from your waiting room whose level is equal or lower than the revealed level, the level of the revealed card. And so this gives you a free discard outlet, it gives you some selectivity from your waiting room, and also gives you knowledge of the top card of your deck, making it a really strong profile. Additionally, she has an on-attack ability that can give one of your characters 1k power. And so this is a pretty popular utility card to see in Azur Lane decks. Here we have the 1/0 vanilla. We have a 1/1 Leafa backup. Okay, 1/1 7/5 Hand Encore. We have 3 copies of an assist. This means that we do have 4 copies of this in the trial deck. I think 4 copies of an assist is definitely an interesting choice, and by interesting, not exactly the best. I think you would rather just have like 2 copies, so that way you can just park one of them in your back row alongside like a Brainstorm or something like that. Okay, we have Saratoga level 2 beater. And then here we get to our level 3s. So our first level 3 is Yorktown, which is a healer. And on attack, you can give one of your characters power based on the number of your characters on stage. And then for our level 3 combo, we have Enterprise. So when this is placed on stage from hand, draw 2, discard 1. And then on attack, you can pay 1. If it's a KAN-SEN character on top of your deck, you deal 3 damage to your opponent, and then this gains anti-reverse until the end of the opponent's next turn. So potentially allowing you to loop this combo to use again and again on future turns, assuming you're able to live into the next turn. The Eagle Union event, every single one of these 4 events has, or every single one of these 4 trial decks has an event card that requires you to have a character of the appropriate trait on stage. This one allows you to top check up to 6, grab up to 2 Eagle Union characters from among them, add them to hand, and put the rest in your waiting room. So that will allow you to grab any of the characters from this trial deck amongst the top 6, but you do have to keep in mind that not every blue card is Eagle Union. There are going to be some cards from some of the other factions. For example, I think there are some Russian cards in blue in the actual booster set. For our climaxes, we have +2 Soul, we have the Enterprise Pants Climax, and then we have the San Diego Pants Climax. And so now that we're at the back of the pack, we have a chance to get our foil cards. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we have pulled in this one, as there is 1 guaranteed foil in every trial deck. The further back we get, the more exciting it gets, because the cards that can come SP are the ones that are going to be at the very back of the pack. And so far we haven't pulled anything yet. Oh, I'm getting pretty excited now. So we have Laffy, San Diego, Baltimore, Enterprise. Okay, I think what it is that in these ones, they put the foil at the very back no matter what, whereas in the JP version of these trial decks, I'm pretty sure that whatever the foil card was, it would just be in that particular slot in the pack. Whereas in this one, it's just always at the very back. So I think that for the remaining trial decks, we're just going to have to try to pay attention to what card is missing, and then we'll be able to figure out which card is going to be at the very back. So unfortunately for our first trial deck, we were not able to pull a signed card. We did get a 2/1 Hornet as our foil. And let's go ahead and move on to our second trial deck, which is going to be the Royal Navy for the United Kingdom ships. Okay, on to trial deck number 2 for the Royal Navy. So it looks like we're just going to have to just rip these tabs, and it'll just open right up. Not as easy to put trial decks back in for like storage reasons compared to the way the bottom of the trial decks used to be. All right, on to trial deck number 2. You might have noticed that these trial decks are not in order by color. Normally it would be yellow, then green, then red, then blue. But these trial decks, as far as the way they are numbered, they are out of color order. So second, we're going to have the Royal Navy for the UK ships, starting with our cover card, Javelin. All of these cover cards are pretty usable, so we'll be highlighting each of those as we go through each of the trial decks. So the level 0 Javelin is a free runner, and she also has power ability during your turn. If you have 5 or more cards in hand, this gets plus 2,000 power, allowing her to swing for 3,500, very respectable number, and allowing her to live into the next turn in order to utilize her run ability after killing one of your opponent's characters. So this is a pretty nice card. We have Glasgow, our Bonder. Hermione, our Brainstorm. We have Amazon, which is an assist that you can rest to give power. Icarus, this is a pretty nice card in my opinion. On play, draw 1, discard 1 if you have 2 or more other KAN-SEN characters, and then on attack you can give 1,500 anywhere. I think that a combination of utility and the ability to give power anywhere on a single card is pretty strong. Let's see. Okay, we have On Cancel Bounce Back, one of our favorite profiles in the Tressa's Collectibles team, of course. Here we have the York, 3 copies here, at least, of the York Drop Salvage. This also has on-play mill 3, making it very similar to the Choco Drop Salvage from Hololive, although this doesn't give 1,000 power when you use the Drop Salvage ability, unfortunately, which does make it a little bit worse. Aurora, which is a on-play gains power and on-attack buffer. Warspite. This is a pretty nice card, actually. She has the ability where on play, you can pay 2 to search your deck for a climax that you already have a copy of in your waiting room and add it to your hand. And then when she attacks, if you have another character, she gets 1500 power, making her a respectable 6k attacker. But the ability to grab climaxes out of your deck can be pretty nice if you just want to play a very aggressive strategy and slam climaxes every turn. So I'm a pretty big fan of this card. And then I believe when she uses... okay, sorry. The Climax Search ability requires experience too. I thought it gave extra power, but I think I'm thinking of a different card in Azur Lane that gives extra power when you use its ability with experience. Here we have the level 1 Climax combo, Dido, another on reverse Climax combo. During your turn, she gets 500 power for each of your other characters, and then on reverse with choice, you look at up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, add up to 2 Royal Navy or KAN-SEN characters from among them. I'm not sure why they made that specific distinction, seeing as everything... Oh, sorry, no. Add up to 2 Royal Navy... I'm so silly. I'm dumb. Add up to 2 copies of the Royal Navy event or KAN-SEN characters from among them to your hand. So it does allow you to grab the event. So when you use the Climax combo, if you're able to get the reverse, you're potentially getting a +2, assuming both of the top 2 cards of your deck are hits. And as long as our Royal Navy event is here, we might as well talk about this since this has a very similar theme. This event lets you look at up to 4 cards from the top of your deck, add up to 4 Royal Navy characters from among them, add them to hand, and send the rest to waiting room. And you do have to sacrifice a Royal Navy character in order to play it. So you're going -2 to start with because you're playing Royal Navy event and you're sacking a character, and you can potentially get up to 4 cards with the effect. So if everything goes well, it does end up being a +2. And so between these 2 cards, you are able to get a ton of cards into your hand, and then you can utilize your choice trigger climaxes to like get the stock back, for example, since you're going to have an excess of hand. Here we have our Newcastle Vanilla. We have Centaur, which is a... it can refund a stock from waiting room if you use this and all of your characters are concentrate. We have our level 2 assist. In this trial deck, we are only getting 1 copy, or 2 copies, which I think is definitely preferred compared to the 4 copies that we saw in the Eagle Union trial deck. Here we have our level 2 beater, Nelson. And then for our level 3s, we have Illustrious and Victorious. So Victorious, on play, you can search your deck for a concentrate character, and then on attack, you can pay 2, discard 2 to burn 2. I think this is a very solid non-climax combo finishing option, especially if you're playing a climax combo that doesn't require any stock. So you can make good use of the stock with the Victorious finisher effect. The Illustrious climax combo is a -3 soul combo. At the beginning of the Encore step, if you have her climax in the climax area, you can pay 1 and choose one of your other concentrate characters, and then give it -3 soul across until the end of the opponent's next turn. And then additionally, on play, she is a healer and gains 1500 power until end of turn. So you'll be able to use her ability to heal down, and then -3 soul your opponent in order to survive into another turn, potentially use this combo again, or maybe follow up with like Victorious finisher effects. For our climaxes, we have 2 copies of the +2 soul. Very, very cute. Has all the Royal Navy ships, with Belfast featured very prevalently on the left. For our choice climax for the Enterprise, we have 1 copy of her climax. You can see Unicorn here as well, which we will be getting into in the actual trial decks. And then we have 3 of our 4 copies of the Dido climax, which is also choice. Okay, now let's take a look at, let's try to find out who we're missing amongst these cards. I'm just like scanning through all of the cards here so we can see who we're missing. Huh, okay, interesting. Climax, Climax, Climax. Javelin, Warspite, Dido, Illustrious. So that means this is Victorious? Yes. Okay, so our triple R for this trial deck was Victorious. Wow, this is a really different alternate art. I really dig the art style on this one compared to the original art. A lot of these alt arts are just really, really nice. Of course, with the alt arts in Azur Lane being the skins that you're able to purchase for the characters in Azur Lane, they do gotta go out of their way to make them really pretty and try to get people to buy those skins in Azur Lane. So it's definitely no surprise that a lot of these alt arts, SRs, triple Rs, what have you, are going to look really, really nice. And we're definitely going to be taking a closer look at those as we open our foils throughout these trial decks and boxes. All right, now let's get into our third trial deck. Go ahead and clean up here. The next one we're going to look at is the green trial deck for Sakura Empire, which represents the Japanese ships. So let's get right into that. Okay, up next we have Sakura Empire. A lot of these ships, if you are a Kantai Collection player, you're going to recognize a lot of the names of these ships, as Kantai Collection is primarily a game that focused on the Japanese ships. And so me in particular, as I was a Kantai Collection player, I'll be able to recognize quite a lot of these. All right, let's take a look at our cover card. So we have Ayanami, level 1 combo. This one actually is not an on-reverse combo compared to the other ones. And so for that reason, I think that the Ayanami is a pretty solid level 1 combo overall. Her climax combo says when she attacks, if you have her gold bar climax, snack time in the climax area, and you have 2 or more other characters, you can top check up to 4, add 1 to hand, and then if the level of the card you added to your hand was 3 or higher, you must draw 1 card and discard 1. It is mandatory if you add a level 3 or higher character. But the ability to go through so many cards of the deck is definitely, in my opinion, one of the big strengths of this particular combo. So if you are an enjoyer of the level 1 climax combo playstyle where you mill through your deck really fast and go into your second deck as soon as possible, then this is a combo that you might want to try out. Okay, next we have Kawakaze. So this is just the brainstorm for this particular trial deck, but this card in particular, if you are a Hololive fan, you will notice that Kawakaze has a very similar design to one of the Hololive VTubers, Fubuki Shirakami, and something that I actually learned is that they have the same designer. So they were basically made to look similar on purpose, I think. And so I think that's really, really neat. For those of you that play Azur Lane, the actual phone game, you guys are probably also aware that Azur Lane actually has Hololive collabs, so you can get some of the Hololive ships in your Azur Lane phone game. I'm not sure if that expands to the English version of the game. Definitely on the Japanese side, but I haven't played the actual Azur Lane phone game, so my knowledge is a little bit limited. But I definitely know that you are able to get some of the Hololive VTubers within Azur Lane itself. Here we have Hibiki, our assist. Isuzu, which is a bonder. Akashi. So this is one of the climax swaps that is available in Azur Lane. Akashi has a secondary ability at the beginning of your climax phase. You can give one of your characters 1k until end of turn, making her a pretty nice option for just being a general utility and buffing card. I think, as I said earlier in the Eagle Union trial deck, I think a card that has utility and is able to give power is really strong, and so I think Akashi is a pretty nice candidate for your climax swap option. There is another one in the red trial deck, Iron Blood, which we will take a look at after this as well. But that one is it's a bit more selfish. She just gives herself extra power. Okay, we have Suzuki, we have Takao, which is definitely a fan favorite amongst Azur Lane players, both her and her sister ship Atago. So the Takao is an on-play ditch climax salvage, and when your other character attacks, she gets plus 1k until end of turn, potentially allowing her to attack for 3/5. Here we have Inazuma, which is a 4k beater. Okay, we have some... we're going to see a lot of gold bar support cards throughout the Sakura Empire stuff that lets you discard gold bars out of your hand and things like that. We have Shigure, which is an on-death Rize. We have more copies of the Ayanami combo. We have our vanilla Nagara. Here we have Atago, the sister ship of Takao. In this trial deck, she is a 3500 backup. We have Hiei. One particular set of ships that I'm surprised did not get all of the cards in the Azur Lane set is the Congo class. We are going to see in this trial deck, we do have here the flagship Congo as well as her sister ship Hiei, but we did not get other ships from that class such as Kirishima and Haruna. Haruna specifically is one of my favorite ship designs in Azur Lane, so I'm a little bit sad that she didn't get a card, but I'm not particularly attached to Azur Lane, so I don't think it's too big of a deal for me. Here we have our 2 level 3s, which are the 2 characters that we have featured on our Case Topper playmat, which are Akagi and Kaga. They're referred to as the Foxes in the Azur Lane universe. As you can tell, they are Fox Girls. And so these 2 actually pair together. So the Kaga is able to, on play, pay 1 to summon a copy of Akagi from your waiting room, and when Akagi is placed on stage from hand or by the effect of Kaga, you get to heal 1, and then she has a climax combo, very simple, on attack, pay 1, discard 1, burn 2, and gain 1000 power. So very simple, but very effective combo, reminiscent of things like Marine from Hololive, where it's just pay 1, discard 1, burn 2, gain some power. So very simple, but effective climax combo. For our event in the Sakura Empire trial deck, we have the 1/1 event that allows you to search your deck for a Sakura Empire character, and then draw a card and discard a card. So it allows you to get a little bit of extra filtering on top of that search. Okay, for our climaxes, we have the 2 soul of the Kongo class sisters, and here we do see Haruna and Kirishima in this art, and so this is as close to having a Haruna card I'm going to get, unfortunately. Here we have the climax combo for the Fox Girls, the gold bar for Akagi, and then we have the gold bar climax for Ayanami, which is snack time. All right, let's go through our cards in the back of the pack and try to figure out what our foil card was. I think it's Akashi because we just skipped Akashi, but I think this might be one of the SP cards. I'm not 100% sure. So it might be at the back of the pack. Inazuma. Takao, I believe, is also an SP candidate. Yoizuki, Shigure, Nagara. Okay, we're going through. All right, let's go ahead and take a look what we got here. So there's Akashi, so she is an SP candidate. Takao. Ayanami. Akagi, so this means it's Kaga, right? Yeah, so we have Kaga as our triple R for this one. So far, 0 for 3. But hopefully we can get something nice in our Iron Blood trial deck, which is going to be our last one before we get into the booster boxes. So let's go ahead and clean up and get right into that one. Okay, on to our 4th and final trial deck, which is going to be Iron Blood. This is the German ships. So we're going to have a lot of names that I am not going to be able to pronounce. That's going to be a recurring trend through multiple factions in Azur Lane, particularly the Chinese ships of the Dragon Empire and the French ships, whether it's the ones from Iris or from Vishya. I'm just not going to be attempting to pronounce a lot of these names. I just don't want to make myself look silly. But in any case, let's get into our last trial deck for Iron Blood. We have for our cover card Z23, which between me and my friends, we have this category of cards that we like to call illegal, when a card just has a really silly effect profile. And this Z23 is probably one of those cards. So this card is both a level 0 reverser as well as a clean cut. And so this can be extremely annoying for your opponent throughout the early game if you just play this to an open lane and direct attack with this, because your opponent then has to decide, do they want to try to front attack this with a level 0 character to kill it and get it off the board? Because if they do, then you can reverse their character and then use the clean cut effect to rescue one of your other characters, move it to the back row, and be able to reuse that on the following turn. At the same time, if they don't attack into this, like let's say they side attack or something, then you just get to keep the Z23, and then you can swing into their character when it comes back to your turn, and then you can reverse their dude and then still get your clean cut value. So it's like, it's just a really, really annoying card. Your opponent is more or less always in a losing situation when it comes to playing against this. And so this is a very strong consideration for level 0 games, especially if you have some valuable back row characters that you want to be using the clean cut to move into the back row to preserve them for future plays. Okay, here we have the Bonder Z1, Admiral Hipper, which is the Brainstorm. This card, during your opponent's turn, gives all of your other characters 500 power, which I think is very counterintuitive to the level 1 combo that is in this trial deck, but we'll talk about that when we get there. Okay, next up we have a Top Check X Z24. We have a Pay 1 Sack Top 4. We have 3 copies here of that. We have a Pay 2 Tap Salvage. And here we have the other Climax Swapper option from the trial decks, which is the U96, which is one of the submarine characters, U-boats. So she has on-play Climax Swap, and then if you have 2 or more other concentrate characters, she gets continuous plus 1000 power. So compared to the Climax Swap that we saw in the Sakura Empire trial deck, this one is much more selfish, boosting herself up to 3k, whereas the Akashi Climax Swapper allows her to give her buff anywhere. Okay, we have a 2k backup. And then we have a level 1 Drop Assassin U556 that also has on reverse draw 1, discard 1. And then here we have the level 1 Climax combo of the Ironblood trial deck, which is the Prinz Eugen. Definitely a fan favorite amongst the Azur Lane community. And me personally, I think her design's pretty good. The main reason that I like her is for the fact that she's voiced by one of my favorite voice actresses, Ayane Sakura. Now, her Climax combo is... on attack, you discard 1 to salvage 1, and then gain the effect during the opponent's turn. She cannot become reversed. And so the reason that I'm not a huge fan of this in particular compared to the context of the trial deck, if we go back to the Admiral Hipper gives all of your other characters 500 power during the opponent's turn, but the Prinz Eugen combo simply just cannot be reversed. And so I feel like it would have been much more intuitive to give the trial deck more abilities that give you power on your turn in order to make sure that Prinz Eugen can actually survive into the opponent's turn, and then she just becomes unreversible. For that same reason, I think that the 1k counter is a little bit strange. Maybe we could have had like a 2k counter in order to bolster your defenses during the level 2 game when you start playing some like level 2 characters. So in the grand scheme of things, Prinz Eugen, personally not one of my favorite Climax combos throughout Azur Lane. I think there are some pretty counterintuitive stuff going on here, especially her power condition only gives her, or it gives her 1k continuous power. I feel like it would have been also better to give her more power during your turn in order to swing over the opposing characters and allow her to live into the opponent's turn. But nonetheless, this is the combo that the Ironblood trial deck does come with. And all of the Ironblood trial deck cards are going to be on... the Climax combos are going to be on door climaxes. And there are going to be some standby climaxes as well once we get into the actual booster set. All right, let's keep on moving. We have another 7/5 Hand Encore. This is going to be a potential standby target if you choose to play a standby Ironblood deck. Okay, we have our assists. We have our level 2 beater. And then for our level 3s, we have Tirpitz, which is an on-play heal and then gains 500 power for each of your other characters, allowing her to go up to 11/5. And then we have Bismarck, which is actually a card that sees quite a bit of competitive play in optimized Azur Lane decks. So this card has on-play Top Check 3, add 1, and a Climax combo with a door climax that says, when you play the climax, you can pay 1, discard 1, and give all of your other characters the Mocha effect, where you get to, on attack, look at up to 2 cards from the top of the opponent's deck, choose up to 2 cards from among them, send them to waiting room, and then leave the rest on top. So this allows you to eliminate climaxes from amongst the top cards of your opponent's deck. And this can be very powerful when comboed with a character that can restand and attack multiple times, as this effect can be used more than once per turn if the character that has the ability has the capacity to attack a second time. And so we'll be seeing that combo in some of our other videos in our Azur Lane block, as this is a very prominent combination to see in Azur Lane decks. For our Ironblood event, you get to salvage an Ironblood character, you get to discard an Ironblood character and then salvage back a climax, and then give one of your Ironblood characters plus 4,000 power until end of turn. So this is a pretty nice event if you want to get back those climaxes throughout the mid game, perhaps reuse cards like the Prinz Eugen combo. For our climaxes, we have the 2 Soul. We have 1 copy of the Bismarck Climax here and the second one at the back. And then we have our copies of the Prinz Eugen Climax, where you can see she is featured here with Z23. I believe all of these Climax arts throughout all of the Azur Lane cards, I believe these are all like loading screen arts, and they're all really, really pretty. So big fan of these arts. And we'll be able to take a look at a bunch more when we get into our booster boxes. But for now, let's go through the back of this pack, try and find out what our foil card is. I have a feeling it might be the Brainstorm because we just skipped it, but we'll just keep going. Okay. Oh, we can just skip all the way to here, huh? All right, so we have Z23, U96, Prinz Eugen, Bismarck, and then, if I'm correct, this should be the Brainstorm, which has a German name that I'm not going to try to pronounce. Yep, there we go, our Brainstorm. And so we did, unfortunately, miss amongst all 4 of our trial decks, but surely we will have better luck once we get into our booster boxes. So let's clean up and get right into that. All right, let's get into the first of our 2 booster boxes. So as far as the expected ratio of foils for each of these boxes, you should be expecting to get 3 foils in every single booster box. In this set, every single card can come foil, just like the trial decks. And so just like other sets that have had every single card in the set able to become foil, such as Hololive, we will be getting 3 foils in each box as an expected ratio. As far as the SP and SEC ratios, you should be expecting to get 4 signed cards per sealed case of 18 booster boxes. And then the SEC is not guaranteed in a case. And if you do get an SEC, then you should expect it to replace one of your 4 expected SPs. All right, now let's get into our first box. As far as the box topper promos in this set, they are just frameless versions of the climaxes that can actually just come in the Azur Lane set itself. This is something that we've seen previously in sets like Hololive. Okay, so we won't really have anything too exciting to talk about because of that as far as box toppers go. But let's save the excitement for the actual cards in the pack. So let's get right into it. Okay, so we have Memory Kick Backup Birmingham. Again, we did spend a lot of time on the trial deck, so we're not going to be going too in-depth on a whole bunch of the cards in the actual booster set, just to try to keep this video from going extremely long. Here we have Honolulu level 2 killer. Okay, we have Mutsu. As a Kantai player, I am pretty surprised to see some of the differences in designs between some of these Shipgirls between Kantai and Azur Lane. So like Mutsu and Nagato in Azur Lane, they are very small characters. Here we see Nagato on the cover of the Azur Lane pack, and we have Mutsu here. Whereas in Kantai, they are significantly taller characters. Here we have Rodney. This is one of the most obnoxious cards in all of Azur Lane. So this card is a level 0 stock bomb, and she also has a secondary effect. When she attacks, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is a traded character, you can choose a level 0 or lower character in the opponent's front row and send it straight to waiting room. So this card can just 2-for-1 for your opponent's characters in the level 0 game. Extremely annoying, and can be really good for denying on-reverse effects, such as like an on-reverse Rize, while also denying on-death effects with her stock bomb ability. So just a really annoying card overall. And definitely one that you will potentially want to run in your decks. Okay, here we have one of the few cards from the Dragon Emperor faction, so the Chinese ships. I'm not going to try to pronounce these. I will leave the Chinese pronunciations to the guys in Tressa that can actually speak Chinese, Mike and Simu. But there are actually a pair of cards, one of these being this being one of them, and another level 0 that if we pull later, I will go ahead and take those out. They have very similar ship designs, and they also have a very similar effect profile. So they're both really good for removal options or messing with your opponent's board. For our first rare of the box, we have Essex, which is an early play for the New Jersey deck for Eagle Union. A big trend amongst the Eagle Union cards is usage of Resonance with the New Jersey level 3. So we'll be taking a look at that when we eventually pull that card. And here we have our first couple climaxes. Dude, these arts are just all so good. All right, let's continue on. Oh, here we have a level 0 vanilla Yamashiro, and some of you that don't know about Azur Lane, you might be wondering, why am I pulling out this level 0 vanilla? Well, you will find out in a bit when I pull her sister Fuso, because this is one of the most obnoxious cards in Azur Lane easily, and you guys will see why once I pull out her sister. Here we have Hiryu, another recurring trend amongst cards in Azur Lane, specifically for the Sakura Empire cards, is pairings of cards that can call each other out and gain additional benefits when you have both halves of the pair on stage. Hiryu and Soryu, the dragons, is another pair of cards where if you have both of them on stage, they go up to like 7,000 power, and they can additionally call each other out from the deck. So if you're looking for strong level 1 options besides your level 1 climax combo, or in Sakura Empire's case, they typically run a level 0 climax combo, then definitely look into Soryu and Hiryu. Here we have Spammable Brainstorm. And here we have the first of the Russian cards from the Northern Parliament faction. And for our rare, we have Admiral Graph Spe, one of the standby climaxes, I believe, that can come in Azur Lane. So if this card is in your front row, all of your characters gain 1,500 power, and then she has a climax combo with standby, where when you bring her out by the standby climax effect, you can pay 1 and sack the climax to stand her, and give all of your characters 500 power and on reverse top deck until the end of the turn. This can be really annoying in a standby versus standby matchup, because you can send all of your opponent's big characters with like hand encore that they want to keep around. You send those to the top of the deck, which not only gives you removal, but also makes it easier to stick damage. So Azur Lane is a really nice standby deck for combating other standby. We have Deutschland, which is a Brainstorm 5. And for each climax, you get to search. We have Zuikaku, another one of the Sakura Empire pairs. Albacore is a drop search, level 1 for Union, Eagle Union. For our first double R of the box, we have, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but Friedrich, I can at least do that much. But she is one of the double Rs for the Iron Blood German ships. She has a climax combo with, I believe it's a door climax. Not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's door. When she's placed on stage from hand, you can heal 1, and then climax combo on attack if you have experience 8. So again, earlier I said we do have some very high experience requirements in the set. You can choose one of the following effects and perform it. You can either shuffle 3 cards from your opponent's waiting room back into their deck and gain 3k, or you can pay 2 and burn 4. So it gives you the choice between those 2 abilities depending on your opponent's deck state. Okay, so for our remaining uncommons, we have Neptune, which can call a cost 0 from waiting room, kind of similar to Rene from Hololive Volume 2. Monarch is a very strong card for Royal Navy decks. She has pretty much the same set of effects as the level 2 Itsuki from Quince Volume 3 that can search a door climax from your deck. This is basically the same, except it searches a choice climax from your deck, and then instead of Clock Kick, she has Stock Kick. And for our rare, we have Reno, which is a drop salvage from Eagle Union, and she also has a secondary effect on play. If you reveal top card of your deck, and it is a KAN-SEN trait character, she gets 2k power until end of turn. So it allows her to potentially swing for 4k. Let's keep going. Okay, here we have, ooh, okay. This card, I think, is a very interesting level 0 for the Eagle Union deck. So, okay, I actually don't know how to pronounce this one, so I'm not going to try. But this card says when your other character attacks, this gets 1k power until end of turn. So if she attacked last, she can attack for 4k. And then her climax combo, or not climax combo, but she has an effect that says when she reverses her battle opponent and you have a pants climax in play, you can summon a level 0 or lower character from your waiting room rested. So I'm a really big fan of this card. It allows you to secure back row options such as your level 0 Resonator. And additionally, She attacks her pretty big. If she attacks last with a Pants Climax in play, she can attack for 5k. That can reverse a pretty reasonable amount of stuff, and this can act as kind of like a secondary Climax combo option, but it also can be used at level 0, which can allow you to play pretty aggressively in the level 0 game and slam Climaxes early, and still be able to get some advantage back. So I'm a pretty big fan of this particular card. Okay, Graph Spe. This is a level 0 combo for Iron Blood. Okay. Pretty interesting parallel between the two Shipgirl sets. There are a few parallels just based on the historic significance of some of these ships, but Yuki Kaze is historically known for being a ship that was very lucky in surviving battles throughout the wars that she took place in. And this is reflected in both Kantai and Azur Lane, where both of these cards, they can avoid death based on some sort of luck element, like revealing the top card of your deck. And so this Yuki Kaze can potentially rest herself if you reveal a level 2 or higher card when she gets reversed. Okay, for our next rare, we have Azuma. This is a bouncer, and she requires experience 8 on play, lets you bounce 2 of your opponent's characters, and she also gains power and hand encore, and she has an on direct attack burn ability. So this is a pretty good card to combo with the level 3 Kronstadt Restander, which we'll take a look at later, because she has a hand encore. It's a little bit of a complicated interaction that we'll take a look at in a bit. All right, let's keep going. Okay, for our next double R, we have Cheshire. So this is probably the most popular finisher option for a Royal Navy deck. She has a Climax combo, experience 6. When you play the Climax, you just resolve a Musashi effect, where you mill the top card of your deck and then burn damage equal to the level of the milled card +1. And additionally, she is a healer, so she's a very easy to use finisher. You just put her on the board, you play her Climax, you mill a card. And she's on a great trigger as well, being on choice, and so just a very solid card overall, very simple. Okay, for our rare, we have a 1/0 event for Royal Navy. This one allows you to choose one of your KAN-SEN trait characters, give it a level, and then give it power based on its level. And then you have the other choice when you play this event to reveal the top card of your deck, and if it's a KAN-SEN trait character, add it to your hand. These are both some very interesting choices that don't really guarantee you anything. You can give a character power, but it might still get run over or removed by some way. And then revealing the top card of your deck can be risky because you might reveal like a Climax or an event or something, and you wouldn't be able to add it to your hand, and you just go -1. Okay, I do see our first foil coming up, so let's see what we got. Looks like just an SR. Ticonderoga SR. And so this is another piece of Resonate for the New Jersey package in blue. Let's go ahead and get a sleeve on this one real quick. So she has the ability where when she attacks, all of your characters gain the effect where if they trigger check a Climax, you can discard a Climax in order to salvage a concentrate character. And so that's supposed to go with the theme of Eagle Union playing a lot of Pants Climaxes, being able to get those pants out of your hand when you need to, when you have too many, and then allow you to convert those into better cards. All right, for our rare, we have Sirius, which is a level 0 combo on reverse for Royal Navy. All right. Another copy of the Yamashiro Vanilla. Here we have Kasumi. This is a pretty strong card for Sakura Empire decks. Both, or sorry, not both. When this is placed on stage from hand, you can discard a Gold Bar Climax to look at up to 6 cards from the top of your deck, add a content from among them, add it to hand, send the rest to waiting room. So this gives you a ton of extra deck speed, while also allowing you to get those extra Gold Bar Climaxes out of your hand and into your waiting room and back into your refresh where you want them. Okay. For our rare, we have level 0 for Iron Blood, which is an Act ability Helmet, where you can sack her and discard a card in order to salvage a KAN-SEN trait character. Helmet is always a pretty nice ability to have, especially if you're playing a deck that can accumulate tons and tons of card advantage. Because you won't really feel the -1 that much if you just have a ton of cards to begin with. Okay, ooh, we have for our next double R, we have one of the best double Rs that we can pull in Azur Lane, which is the Unicorn Brainstorm. So this is a tap self-salvage Brainstorm, and additionally she has a secondary effect that it won't come up too often, but it can really come in clutch to have this ability available as an option. So at the beginning of your Encore step, if you have a full board of KAN-SEN trait characters and Unicorn is standing, you can pay 3, discard 1, and rest her in order to burn 1 and heal 1. And so this can be a really clutch, just give you that extra reach in the end game. Or maybe if you have like a really, really bad turn of triggers, you can pay those climaxes out and also be able to heal 1 and burn 1 at the same time. Okay, Prince of Wales. This is a very interesting card. When I was first looking through the card list, I was thinking to myself that this would be a really good card to run alongside the Belfast combo, as she gains extra power and gives extra power. And then I read the effect really closely and realized that this is actually a card that's supposed to be played in a blue Eagle Union deck. I wasn't reading the traits super closely, and then I realized. So this card can be played without color requirement, so that allows you to play it even though it's a yellow card in a deck that is otherwise mono blue, being the Eagle Union deck. And she gains power for each of your other Eagle Union characters, and also if you have 3 or more other Eagle Union characters, she gives all of them 1,000 power and gives herself an additional 500. And so I looked into it, and this is actually a direct reference to her skill in the actual Azur Lane game, the Royal Alliance skill, which she benefits from being on a team with many other ships from the Eagle Union. So I think that's a really cool little piece of flavor amongst the Azur Lane cards. Here we have Georgia, which is a level 3 killer for Eagle Union. Okay, here we have Hear You again. We still haven't pulled Soryu. Another Zuikaku. Okay. Oh, this is uncommon. Here we have Meowfisser. I don't actually know how significant Meowfisser is in actual Azur Lane. I'm assuming it's just the mascot, though. This is just a typical cigarettes event where you mill 2, add the levels, and salvage. And then for our rare, we have Independence, another piece of support for the New Jersey Resonance package. This one says you can reveal New Jersey to give herself 2,000, and then on reverse with any climax, you can blindstock 1. Historically, this sort of pseudo-climax combo ability to blindstock 1 has been considered quite strong, and so I think this is definitely a good consideration for your New Jersey-based decks. Okay, here we have our next double rare. Auguste von Percival, I think is probably how it's pronounced. Or it might just be August. I'm not 100% sure. But this is the other standby combo that you would typically run in a 8 standby Ironblood deck. This one also very good against opposing standby decks, as it is a stand herself combo, so a tempo combo. And then also, when you use it, you get to choose 2 of your opponent's characters, and they cannot move during or until the end of the opponent's next turn. And so if your opponent is playing a standby deck that wants to like put their 2/2 in the back row and then move it up on the next turn, you can just be like, no, you're gonna stay right there. And for that same reason, this could potentially also be pretty usable against like maybe like Gura or something like that. When your opponent standbys out a Gura in their Hololive deck, you can keep the Gura in the back row in order to prevent them from moving it up to the front row and killing you when they do eventually reach level 3 and they decide to just, you know, blow all their resources to try to kill you. Okay, for our rare, we have Formidable, which is an anti-move character. When she's placed on stage from hand, you choose one of your opponent's characters. It cannot move until the end of the opponent's next turn, just like the level 2 Ironblood combo. Here we have Shokaku. So Shokaku is the other half of the Cranes combo between Shokaku and Zuikaku. These two are sister ships, and they work very well together. Shokaku says when she's placed on stage from hand, you can discard a concentrate character to summon a Zuikaku from your waiting room. This allows you to save one stock and also makes it so that you don't actually need to have the Zuikaku in your hand. When you have both of them on stage, they gain a pretty significant amount of power. Zuikaku goes up to being a 10k. Shokaku gains 2k continuously and another 4k during your turn. And then Shokaku's final ability is at the beginning of your opponent's attack phase, you can swap her with a Zuikaku for free. So your opponent has to be able to beat 10k power on both lanes in order to address both of them. Zuikaku's climax combo says when you play the gold bar climax, if you have a full board of characters, you can salvage a concentrate character and send a concentrate character from your waiting room to stock. So it's a very, it's pretty much the same combo as like Alice from Sword Art Online, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. It's not able to be early played, but in combination with the Shokaku, it can be a bit annoying for opponents, especially if they don't have the proper power line to address the ability that these two have to swap. So ideally, when you're playing this package, you probably want to have like one Shokaku, two Zuikakus on your board. I still have to finish the rest of this pack. Here we have Bocce. This is one of Simu's favorite cards, as it's Pa-Chin at home, as he likes to call it. It lets you bring out some pretty huge 2-1 vanillas. And for our rare, we have Ibuki, which I believe this is the one that lets you blind stock 2. When you trigger a gold bar, you can discard a card in order to blind stock 2. Yep. Okay. Oh, we have our next foil coming up. It is the level 1 Emden, I guess it's just pronounced. This is a very interesting art. I'm not sure what's going on in the background here with this devilish figure. But a very beautiful skin, nonetheless. All of these arts are just so good. So this card is... What is this card? At the beginning of your climax phase, if you have another concentrate character, choose one of the abilities and give it to one of your characters until the end of the opponent's next turn. You can either choose to give 3k on your turn or 3k on the opponent's turn. Very interesting effect. And when this attacks, you choose one of your other KAN-SEN characters and give it 2k power. Very interesting set of effects. All right, finishing off this pack for our rare, we have Hanazuki. This is a card that is very similar to the level 0 Sora on Death Summon Riki from Hololive. The main difference between the two being the cost of the Summon Riki effect. Hanazuki says when she's placed into waiting room from stage, you can pay 1 and clock a character from waiting room in order to summon Riki, whereas Sora is you put the top card of your stock into clock. Oh, here we go. The Stephen Potter 2-1. This is the one that goes with the Bocce that we pulled earlier. Simu is a very big fan of this particular profile. The Bocce says that each of your Stephen Potters get plus 2k for each character in the opponent's back row. So if you're able to have a board of like double Bocce, double Stephen Potter, or double or triple Stephen Potter, then you can have 16.5k walls if your opponent has 2 back row. Very similar to Pa-Chin. And additionally, Bocce says once per turn, when you play a Stephen Potter from your hand, you reveal the top card of your deck, and if it is a concentrate character, you get to put it into your hand. This allows you to maintain resources, even though you're just playing a bunch of just fat vanillas. All right. Moving on in the pack. These are commons. We have Bombing Ships, a 3-2 event that says you need a full board to play it, burn 4. I've seen some people play this just as like more experience fodder in order to get experience 6 or 8. And here we have the other Chinese ship that I mentioned earlier. So we can go ahead and pull out her sister ship. Or at least I think they're sister ships. I don't actually know the history behind these ships. But as you can see, they have very similar designs, and they also have a very similar set of effects. Both of them on play, if you have another concentrate character, they gain 2k cross turn, and they have effects that allow you to mess with your opponent's board. So one of them has on play, pay 1, discard 1, bounce one of your opponent's characters back to hand, and the other has on play, pay 1, discard 1, choose one of your opponent's characters, and move it to an open slot on stage. So they have some pretty pesky effects for messing with your opponent's board. All right. All right, we're getting down to the last few packs. I think we still have a double R left to go, and we definitely have one foil left to go. Oh, here we have Fuso. So this is the card that goes with Yamashiro. So Fuso says, on play, you can discard a KAN-SEN trait character to search your deck for Yamashiro and put it directly onto stage. While you have a Yamashiro on stage, Fuso gains 3k power and +1 soul, and additionally she gives all of the copies of Yamashiro +1k and 1 soul. So having just a single pair of these gives you a 3500 and a 4k, and both of them are swinging for 2 soul base. And when you play multiple pairs, it gets absolutely absurd. You have like 3 soul, 4 soul attackers, and then if you're direct attacking, it's so obnoxious. And I'm just not having it. This is gonna be the part that I walk away from the Azur Lane block, and I just want to not play any more Azur Lane. I'm just gonna hate my life every time I see this put onto the board. Okay, moving right along. For our rare in the pack, we have Eldridge, a level 0 for Eagle Union that potentially has the ability to return every single card in your front row back to your hand. I think that's a very interesting effect. It says when she's front attacked, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a climax, then you can bounce all of your front row characters back to your hand. Okay, and then for our next pack, we have the sister ship for Hiryu, which is Soryu. So both of them have the effect when you play them from your hand. You can pay 1 to search your deck for the opposite sister, put it directly on stage. And if you have both of them on stage, they gain 3500 power going up to 7k, and they gain an additional effect. Soryu says that on attack, you can give one of your other characters 1k, and Hiryu gains a pseudo encore effect where when she becomes reversed during the opponent's turn, you can discard her to put her back to rest, but she goes to waiting room at the start of your next encore step. So 7k beaters, very strong for the Sakura Empire deck where you're playing a level 0 combo and you don't have to worry about your level 1 slots being taken up by like a level 1 climax combo. Okay, ooh, and then here's our 5th double R, Shinano, for Sakura Empire. So she has an encore step heal, and climax combo on attack with experience 6, you mill 9, you count the number of climaxes amongst the cards you milled, and you burn 1 X times. So this potentially allows you to do a bunch of ping 1s to your opponent. Additionally, if you are able to compress really well through cards such as the Taiho level 0 combo, which is the level 0 combo that I've been talking about this whole time for Sakura Empire, you're able to compress really well. Make sure that you have a very high compression ratio in your deck, and you can turn that into a very lethal weapon when you go to mill your deck with the Shinano combo. So a really nice top end for Sakura Empire. And for our rare, we have Kashino, which is just a 2k counter, I believe. Oh no, this is an anti-change counter, sorry. It's a ditch 2 anti-change, where you send the top card of your opponent's clock to waiting room, and then send their over-leveled character on stage to clock. Okay, and for our final pack, we should be getting our final foil in this pack. So what do we got here? We have Queen Elizabeth, level 2. This is a global level assist to Royal Navy characters and also works with the choice climaxes by giving extra power. And for our last rare, we have, that's a French name, I'm not going to try that. But this level 3 combo for the, not the Royal Navy deck, but just the yellow deck that does include some of the French characters. On play, you can top check 3, add 1, and then it has climax combo on cancel burn 2. So not the most reliable, as it does require canceling. This does mean that your damage ceiling is a bit lower as a result. Let's go ahead and put our Queen Elizabeth level 2 in our sleeve, and those are going to be our 3 foils for our first box. Hopefully we can pull an SP or maybe even a secret rare in our second box. Let's go ahead and clean up and get right into that. All right, moving right along to box number 2. Weren't able to pull any high rarity from the first box, but we always have our second chance here. All right, let's go ahead and see what our box topper is in this one. Here we have the Taiho Climax, I believe, which is for the level 0 Taiho Brainstorm for Sakura Empire. All right, let's get right into it. Okay. Oh, immediately we have our first foil, and it is an SR I-19. So this is a level assist for concentrate characters and also has some synergy with Gold Bar, allowing you to draw 1, discard 1 when you trigger check a gold bar climax, and then when you play a gold bar climax, you can give one of your opponent's front row characters minus 1,000 power. Well, we need to put that over here. For our first rare, we have, ooh, Taiho! This is the card that I've been talking about this whole time, the one that goes with this climax. So, Taiho is a tap self brainstorm that lets you look through the top 3 cards of your deck for each climax you hit, add 1 to hand, send the rest to waiting room. And her climax combo with the gold bar says you bounce her back to your hand and stock a concentrate character from your waiting room. And so this is a pretty comparable combo to the level 0 door climax combo from Kaguya-sama. Well, with the key difference being that Taiho has to bounce herself back to hand in order to use her combo. This has some unfortunate implications. First of all, it means that you're basically playing with a 3-card board and a 7-card hand, because bouncing back to your hand is going to have some constraints on your hand size. If you trigger like a gold bar or something, you might go overhand, you might have to discard. It also means that you can't realistically play more than 2 copies of Taiho, because you have to bounce back to your hand. If you want to play more than 2, you will have to lose out on attackers, whereas the Kaguya from Kaguya-sama, you can just have as many copies as you want and use all of their combos within a single turn. But the Taiho combo is really strong. You are able to get a lot of compression if you're able to loop that gold bar combo over and over again, and then use it as a weapon with cards like Shinano, which we saw in our last box. Okay. Let's keep going. No double R here. For our rare, we have the Sheffield. I like to call this card Bay on crack. So we have Bay level 0 from Hololive, which is both an on-play and on-death. Pay 1, discard a traded character to top check 3, add 1. And Sheffield is both that and on-play, you can discard a concentrate character in order to draw a card. So this is a really strong utility card, and definitely one that I recommend that you play in pretty much every Azur Lane deck. It just gives you so much ability to dig through your deck and grab the cards that you need. Okay. For our rare, we have Noshiro. This card has on climax placement of a gold bar climax. You gain 1k, and on reverse, you can kick to clock. Nice piece of removal. And on attack, you get to give any of your characters 500 power times the number of your other concentrate characters. So you can potentially give 2k power to another character or herself to allow her to secure that clock kick effect. All right, here we have Rodney again, annoying as ever. Here we have the Reno drop salvage that we saw in the first box. Okay, no double R here. I would really like to pull New Jersey so that we can talk about the New Jersey package. For our rare, we have Drake. This is an on-play heal and experience 8. She gains 1500 power, and on attack, or sorry, on reverse, you can pay 2, discard 2, burn 4. This is able to be used on either player's turn, so your opponent will have to watch out if they try to crash into her when it eventually goes over to their turn. Oh, speaking of New Jersey, we did pull her in our latest pack. Our rare was Ozma, which we pulled before, but now we can talk about New Jersey. So New Jersey is a very interesting profile. She's similar to the Lisa level 3 from the Bang Dream, Rhodesia, and Pop-In Party Extra Booster, where she has a climax combo that burns equal to the number of copies you have on stage. Unlike Lisa, she doesn't call additional copies out of the deck, so you will need 7 stock if you want to resolve triple. But her other abilities are quite strong as well. When she's placed on stage from hand, you heal 1 and then experience 6 or higher. You give 1000 power to all of your Eagle Union characters, including herself. So if you have triple New Jersey, they will all be at 12k base. With the climax, they will go up to 13k on offense, which is a really strong offensive board. Yeah, her climax combo being able to burn for precise numbers based on the number of New Jerseys you have on stage is really, really neat. If you feel like you need to go for burn 2s, you could potentially go for a line where you have like 2 New Jerseys and then a third lane with like a supplementary finisher. Maybe something like the level 3, not the level 3 Victorious from the trial deck. Potentially allow you to go for a bunch of 2s rather than just go for 3s over and over again. Although I feel like most of the time you're just going to go for a triple New Jersey with triple burn 3. It's a very solid finishing game plan. All right. Oh, we have another foil. What do we have here? We have Kavala. This is a pants support for Eagle Union, allowing you to get some of those extra pants climaxes out of your hand when you trigger them. Dig through the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 to hand, send the rest to waiting room. And she also has a back row ability where you can rest her to give 1500. Although I feel like in the Eagle Union decks, a lot of the time your back row is going to be occupied by like double resonate in order to get a bunch of cards back. I don't think we've actually pulled a resonator yet, so hopefully we pull that soon. I should probably finish this pack before I go on to the next one. Here we have Libeccio. This is one of the Italian ships from the Sardinia Empire, as it's called in Azur Lane. So this card has a very interesting standby climax where you call a cost 0 concentrate character from your waiting room. The thing that I think is really weird about this is that you really want to have a ton of slots open on your board because you need to have a slot open for the Libeccio combo, and you also need to have a slot open for your standby character when you play one to the board. So if you want to resolve like double Libeccio, I think it's kind of weird because those would probably have to be the only characters on your board, and then you call 1 character off standby and 1 character off each of the combos. Apart from that, she is a 7/5 attacker, so can be pretty useful to bring out at level 0 via a standby and start taking control of the board that way. Okay, for our next pack, we have our 3rd SR. I saw like the foil pattern was pretty neat up here, so I thought it might be something good, but it's just our 3rd SR, the 1/0 event for Royal Navy. Okay, so that's going to be all our foils for the box, so now we're just looking for our double Rs. Let's go ahead and speed through the second half of the box, grab our double R cards, hopefully find the level 0 resonator for New Jersey. All right, our next double R is Nagato. So this is an early play healer. I think it is the only early play healer in all of Azur Lane, which is a little bit weird because one of her effects only works with Sakura Empire. So you would like to play this in any deck, but one of the abilities is only useful in niche situations. So as a 4 more early play, on play heal, and then during your turn, if you have a full board of concentrate characters and she is in the front row center slot, she gives all of your Sakura Empire characters, including herself, 2k power. So she can attack for 11k while simultaneously buffing your other Sakura Empire attackers that you might have. Cards like the Soryu and Hiryu combo, or maybe the Zuikaku and Shokaku combo. So it allows you to have a pretty big offensive board as long as she's in the front row center slot. And then for our rare, we have Perseus. This is a very interesting off-climax finisher. So she has on-play heal, and then at the start of your attack phase, if she's in the front row, you can pay 2, discard 2, and rest her, so this does lose out on her attack, in order to burn 2 twice and heal 1. So this essentially, if she were to actually attack and gain you a stock, it would basically equate to pay 3, pitch 2, burn 2, heal 1. That's basically what it would equate to. And so what this ends up doing is it makes it so that she cannot be interacted with cards like a money counter or a rest counter or something like that, because she just rests herself without actually battling the opponent's character. Very interesting card. That's basically it's just very interesting. For our next rare, we have Kronstadt. This is a restander. So this card has experience 6 on attack. If you, experience 6. She gains 3,000 power until end of turn, which potentially allows her to gain 3k twice if she restands. Her actual restand ability is at the end of attack, if you have a full board of characters, you can pay 2, discard 1, and sack a character in order to stand herself. So what's really interesting about this card is that you need a full board, but you also have to sack a character. So if you want to try to resolve multiple copies of Kronstadt, you will need to find a way to replenish that body that you sacked in order to fulfill the full board condition again. This can be accomplished with anything from a 3-stock Encore, from a hand Encore from a card such as Azuma, or maybe a 1/1 standby target like the one that we saw in the trial deck, the 1/1 Prince. I'm not going to try to pronounce the second heart, but this card, you can sacrifice this, hand Encore it back, and then fulfill full board condition again. You can also use something like the Hanazuki Salvage Riki. When you sack it, you get to summon a new body from your deck. And so that would allow you to potentially resolve multiple Kronstadt within a single turn, and then you can combine that with a card such as the level 3 Bismarck from the Ironblood trial deck in order to get even more instances of that Mocha ability within a single turn. It allows you to get a lot of value out of that Climax combo. Okay, for our next double R, we have the Cleveland Ricky. This card has a on-play Ricky effect. Pay 1, clock a concentrate character from your waiting room. Search your deck for a level 1 or lower character and add it to your hand. And at the beginning of your climax phase, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it is a level 2 or higher card, all of your characters get 500 power until end of turn. This incidentally can give you just some extra power, but more importantly, it gives you knowledge of the top card of your deck, which can be very useful for determining what order you want to attack in. Maybe you want to trigger on a specific attack or something like that. And for our rare, Nicholas, this is on play or on attack, you mill 2. And if there's a climax among them, she gets 3k power until end of turn. Ooh, and then for our next double R, we have one of Mike's favorite ships, Belfast. She's also a fan favorite amongst the Azur Lane community. During your turn, she gets plus 3,000 power, bringing her up to 6,500. And she has a very interesting set of effects outside of that power effect. So her climax combo is very lackluster, just being an on-attack top-check add if it is a concentrate character, climax combo with a choice. But her last effect allows her to gain additional advantage outside of just the climax combo. When she is front attacked, you can pay 1, discard 1 to bounce herself and one of your other concentrate characters on stage back to your hand. So this allows you to get a +1 out of that effect by discard 1 and then you get 2 cards back. So it's a +1. And then on top of the climax combo, this potentially allows you to get quite a bit of advantage, but it does require you to utilize some of your stock in order to get those pluses. But yeah, very interesting card. You are going to want to have ways to buff her in order to make sure that she has high power and can survive into the opponent's turn. Okay, for our rare, we have Hakuryu, which is an on-play heal and experience 8. She gains 1,500 power and on attack, pay 3, discard a card to burn 2. This is very similar to a level 3 Itsuki from Quince Volume 3. The difference between the two is that Hakuryu needs to be experience 8 as opposed to Itsuki's experience 6, but in exchange she gets to discard any card from your hand, whereas the Itsuki level 3 you have to discard a Quince trait character. All right, we have one double R left to go. We have Massachusetts. This is on reverse. If you have a climax with a pants trigger icon in play, you can top check 3, add 1, send the rest to waiting room, and discard a card. Pretty interesting card. And where's our last double R? For our rare, we have 1-0 Ulrich from Ironblood. When she's placed on during the turn she's placed on stage from hand, if she reverses her battle opponent, you can pay 1, reveal the top 2 cards of your deck, your opponent picks 1, and you add it to your hand, and send the rest to waiting room. So it's a way to get additional advantage, but you don't get much selectivity, because your opponent gets to pick the card that you're adding. And still not our double R. For our rare, we have Amagi, Global 500, and when you play a gold bar climax, you get to give 2 of your opponent's front row minus 1,000. This can be very annoying in certain matchups, such as Nazarick, where there are a lot of high-value level 0 characters with less than 1,000 power. And if you're able to remove those from the board with this type of effect, it can be very, very annoying. So this one should have our last double R. We have Rune, which is -2 soul effect. At the start of your opponent's attack phase, you can pay 2, discard 1 to choose one of your opponent's characters, give it -2 soul, and additionally, she is an on-play heal. So this is a defensive endgame. This could be a pretty nice card to bring out off of standby as well, so that you can start making use of that -2 soul from an earlier point of the game. Our final rare of our box is Shangri-La, which is another piece of Resonate support for New Jersey. She has a climax combo with a pants climax. I'm pretty sure all the blue climax are just pants climax in the set. But I believe it's this one. So she has a climax combo with pants that allows you to restand, which is very interesting to see on a level 2. But yeah. So that's going to do it for our second box. Unfortunately, we're not able to pull any SP or secret rare. There are a few rares that I am going to want to talk about in our recap, so I'll go ahead and pull those out for you guys, along with the rest of the double Rs that we did not pull. And we'll be right back in a sec to do our final run through of some of those missing cards, as well as a bit of foil showcase, as we usually do on the channel. So, be right back. Okay guys, we are back for our recap, and just to start it off, I'm just really dumb because this was actually an uncommon and I was thinking it was a rare the whole time, but here we have the level 0 Resonator for the New Jersey package. This is basically the card that you're going to want to have camped in your back row whenever you're playing New Jersey strategy. So this card has the, I guess what we call like a union effect, where it's a resonate and you rest it, and then you get to look through the top usually 3 cards of your deck and add a character from your hand. So this gives you a very consistent influx of cards into your hand by being able to get guaranteed cards every turn, compared to a Brainstorm where you do have to rely on the luck of hitting climaxes in order to get advantage. So her other effect is once per turn, when you use a Resonate ability, you can discard a climax in order to draw a card. Because of the Eagle Union deck's affinity towards Pants climaxes, it is pretty common to have extra Pants climaxes in your hand, which you can then utilize with the secondary ability of the Resonator in order to convert them into new cards. So this is definitely a staple back row if you're going to be utilizing the New Jersey as part of your strategy. Now let's get on to the double Rs that we missed. So I believe we pulled 10 unique double Rs within our 2 boxes, but there are 15 in the set, so we were bound to miss a few of them. So let's start with the level 0 John Bart. So this is a drop search, a pair of effects that we've seen in other sets previously, such as Fate Unlimited Blade Works, or sorry, Fate Heavens Feel 1, I believe, where if you have 2 or less stock, this gets plus 1500 power, bringing it up to 3500. Very, very solid card. And because of this effect, it allows you to utilize it as both a utility card and a beater throughout the early stages of the game. I would definitely not be opposed to running 3 or even 4 copies of this card in a deck, just because it can suit that dual purpose. But I feel like most of the time you will see maybe 1 or 2 copies. A very strong card nonetheless. And is also the only double R for yellow that is from the French factions. In this case, the Vichia faction. Okay, moving on to our green double Rs. So we pulled Nagato and Shinano, but the one that we were missing was the Shimakaze. This one actually has a pretty similar ability to the Shimakaze from Kantai Collection, where it's kind of like a pseudo honor-verse search, and that is another parallel that players like to notice between the 2 sets. In this case, Shimakaze says, on attack, if you have another character, she gets plus 3k until end of turn, and then Climax Combo, experience 2 with a gold bar. If the character across from her is reversed, or there is no character across from her, you can search your deck for a KAN-SEN character and then gain 1k cross turn, allowing her to be 5k defense, which is not the strongest defensively. It's still going to lose to a bunch of things, but you know, free power is better than nothing. And then some people were trying to parallel this to the original Shimakaze from Kantai Collection, where they both are 5k on defense. Moving on to our red cards. So the double R that we were missing from red was Zara, which is an Italian ship from the Sardinia Empire. This card is a JC, where when one of your other characters is front attacked, you can pay 1 and sack her to return the character being attacked back to your hand. As with all cards with this ability, typically if you want to be getting value throughout the early stages of the game, you want to be trying to frontline this card, use it to attack, and then use its ability to bounce back one of your other attackers back to hand. And in order to ensure that she is able to survive attacking in and beating opposing characters, her first effect says when she attacks, if all of your characters are on trait, you can give up to 2 of your characters 1000 power until end of turn. And this can include herself. So, pretty nice card. And then we were missing 2 double Rs for blue, one of which is from the Russian faction, Northern Parliament. I'm not going to try to pronounce that name. But this is a pretty interesting card. It's kind of like a honor-verse coin flip effect. Usually those kind of effects where they coin flip to try to bounce back to your hand, they look for a level 2 or higher card. But this one says when it's reversed, you reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a level 1 or higher card, you can bounce her back to your hand. So it's quite a bit easier to hit. And additionally, when she attacks, if you have 2 or more other characters, she gets plus 4000 power until end of turn. So it allows her to swing for pretty high 4500 and then has the chance to bounce back to your hand. In particular, I'm a pretty big fan of the foil version of this card. It's just got some it's some pretty cute art. And then for our final double R that we missed, we have the 1-0 Bremerton. I believe this is a fan favorite as well. When this is placed on stage from hand, if you have another character, plus 2,000 until end of turn, and then climax combo with Pants on attack. If you have 2 or more other characters, you mill 2, add the levels of the milled cards, and salvage. So it's basically like a Shizu cigarettes type effect. But as a bonus, if the sum of the levels of the cards you milled was 2 or more, you get +1 soul until end of turn. You don't even have to salvage a level 2 or higher, just the sum has to be 2 or higher, and then she randomly gets a soul. And I think that is such a strong effect to have tacked onto this type of ability. And Bremerton, I definitely think, is a pretty powerful level 1 combo that you can run in an Azur Lane deck, whether in a Eagle Union deck that's just like 8 Pants, Bremerton into New Jersey, or just like Pants into something else, maybe Pants into like Friedrich or into Cheshire or something like that. Just a very solid combo overall. So that is going to do it for our double Rs, and before we end off the video, I do want to show you guys a few of the SPs that we have pulled. Obviously, with there being so many SPs in Azur Lane, I'm not going to be able to show you all of them, but I do have some of them to show you guys. So from the trial decks, I pulled out 1 from each trial deck. So we have the Enterprise from the Eagle Union deck, the Warspite level 1 from Royal Navy, we have Takao from Soccer Empire, and Bismarck. I'm a really big fan of this particular art. I think that the outfit and the pose is just like very sophisticated. Big fan. Enterprise as well. I'm a very big fan of the Enterprise sign card. And then for a few of the signs from the booster set, I picked out a few of these as well. So we have the Unicorn level 0 for Royal Navy. We have Noshiro from Soccer Empire, the artist of the Noshiro art at Dan. Definitely a really great artist. A friend of mine that is a big fan of at Dan really turned me on to some of their art, allowed me to appreciate some of the stuff that they do. Here we have Rune for Ironblood, and then here we have the Bremerton for Eagle Union. And then just to finish it off, I also have a couple of the SSPs that we have pulled from our cases. So for Eagle Union, we have pulled one of the Cleveland SSPs. These SSPs, as well as the trial deck SPs that are the cover cards, I believe all of those have like a wedding dress motif. And so here we have this very cute Cleveland in her white wedding dress, but we also have from the Ironblood SSP, or Secret Rare, sorry, not SSP. We have the Friedrich, she's wearing like a black wedding dress. I think the Z23 from the Ironblood trial deck also features a black wedding dress, and so I definitely like the duality between those two motifs. And so there we have it. We've taken a look at a lot of Azur Lane stuff today. Obviously, there is a lot to look at, and so this video has run a little bit longer than some of our usual opening videos. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Until next time, this has been Randall, aka Shizukats, on the Tressa's Collectibles channel. Be sure to stay tuned for our upcoming videos where we're going to be doing some deck profile stuff. We're going to be doing a lot of gameplay videos with some of the mono color decks as well. They're not necessarily going to be mono faction, as we do have some cards like from the French faction, from the Russians, from the Italians that we might want to be splashing in there for some of their powerful effects. But yeah, definitely be sure to look out for some of our upcoming videos. We've got a lot to show you guys. And yeah, thanks for watching. And until next time, this has been Randall, aka Shizukats, on Tressa's Collectibles channel. See you next time. Bye!